if you look at it from a customer's perspective, he's incredibly confused. He says, what
Especially
should I do?
low income.
Especially the low income, right? So you need to simplify it from a low income for a low income individual. You need to be able to and see, ultimately in a pension society, if you look at the developed world, pension assets to GDP is upwards of 100%, right? If you look at the Nordic countries, right? Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Pension assets to GDP is upwards of 150%, right? US is upwards of 100%, right? Even a country like Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, is in its high 30s, low 40s percentage of assets to GDP. Pension assets as a percentage of GDP. India, there's some debate on what the exact percentage is because you have to take all these things into account and then divide it by the GDP. The estimate is the best estimate is around 8-9%, right? Chile, which is a middle income country, the per capita income there is, if I remember correctly, is around $14,500-15,000 per annum, right? That's the kind of, and it's around five times in terms of, and of course, India is a very complex country, right?
Right.
But if you look at, and they are at 75% pension assets to GDP, right? Australia, Singapore, these are all shining examples of countries which have an incredibly good pension society. They call it a pension society, right? India wants to be a pension society by 2047. So the government's stated goal is pension society by in Viksit Bharat at 2047. So that's what the government is wanting to do, right? But for that to happen, we will need to make sure that if you look at the pension, so this one is the fragmentation, that's one issue. The other thing is that there are 2 or 3 pillars. There are actually 3 pillars that you need to have, for a pension society, right? So there is a segment of the population where there is a government, contribution that goes in towards helping them build because they don't have sufficient money to save, right?
Okay.
A roadside tea vendor or a vegetable cart, somebody who's selling vegetables in his hand cart, they just sort of hand to mouth, existence is hand to mouth, right? So there is a government intervention, matching contribution, or some form of government intervention that is required for you to be able to make sure that they are able to participate in this building of this pension society, right? So that's one part of it, right? Where there is an active contribution from the government. So that's pillar 1, right? Pillar 2 is products such as NPS, right? Where you create the product in such a manner that, because these are all by its very construct, these are 30-year products, right? Even EPF for that example, for that matter, you can only take out the money either if you lose your job or if you when you're at the time of retirement, right?
Sure.
So these are all long dated products, right? When you have these kind of products, you need to provide some immediate, let's say, incentives for the individuals to buy into them, right? And then there are some behavioral interventions that you can make. For instance, opt out instead of opt in, right? I mean, today, adoption of NPS in corporates where it is voluntary is less than 10%. Out of 100 employees, less than 10 employees have bought into an NPS, right? So it's very, very low. So we've been engaging with a number of companies saying, how do you make it more, how can you make it more compelling for the individual to buy into this product, right? So opt-in, opt-out is a classic tool that's been used for various other things, right? With organ donation, I'm sure you've read about studies on how organ donation rates went up when it was made opt out instead of opt in, right? Similar nudges around, various such nudges can be done such that people willy-nilly participate in this.
So you think it's more for government intervening using nudge theory to sort of...
It's a combination of multiple things, right? So at the right and the bottom, which is the pillar 1 that I spoke about, government will need to intervene, right? They will need to provide for this in the budget, right? So they will have to actively contribute. The government is doing a bunch of things, but I think it needs to get a lot more coherent as far as pension is concerned. There's something called an Atal Pension Yojana. You've heard of this. It's called APY, Atal Pension Yojana. That's also administered by PFRDA, right? So there is some form of guaranteed payment that gets made to the individual at the age of superannuation, but that number is very small, 1,000 to 5,000 rupees, right? It's hardly anything, right? It is not sufficient for them to, to even, do something basic, right? So I think this whole pension architecture will therefore need to be looked at more holistically, which the government, I think, is on the path of. And also let's keep in mind that one is having sufficient money at the time of retirement, but also other allied things, like for example, healthcare, which is possibly one of the largest expense items that will come up as one ages beyond 60, 65, 70. So that will be another large component that will come into play. How do you integrate some of these things and make it into look at the Singapore system, right? And I don't have getting into the exact details, but it's a combination of old age income, healthcare protection, corpus. It's a multitude of things, and you're forced to save into that. If you're working there, you're forced to save into that, right? So I think so a lot of things needs to be done, especially to make it relevant for our country, where there's a very large number of people who are subsisting on minimal incomes, right? For them, living today is more important than even thinking about retirement, right?
Yeah.
So government will have to intervene there, and government is, but I think efforts will have to sort of grow manifold there. And I think as far as the middle layer is concerned and the top layer is concerned, top layer, of course, a lot of them save on a discretionary basis, and they have created, so that you can actually safely sort of leave aside for the moment, because they will take care of themselves, right? The middle layer, you need to intervene through behavioral nudges. You need to intervene through communications which are tailored for them, right? So, for example, gig workers, right? It's a big segment today. Swiggy, Zomato, both of them have 5 lakh plus gig workers on their